Guten Morgen. I expected a bigger applause for my deep understanding of the German language. All right, here's what I need from you so that we can get started. If you can take your hands and do this, just trust me, I know this is strange. You could take your hands and do this. Warm those hands up. Just trust me, brother. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, on the count of 3, we're gonna do one clap together. This is the most I'm gonna ask of you today. One clap. 1, 2, 3. Wasn't it worth it? Wasn't it worth it? All right, my name is Mark. I'm Devereaux lead for Angular, and I work over at Google. And I'm going to talk to you about Angular and what's going on with the framework. I'm sure some of you have so many questions about what are we going to do next? What's important now? What are we going to do in the future? I'm going to answer as many of those questions as I can. If you're ready for that, let me hear you say, yeah. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. So let's talk about what's next for Angular. We have a lot of things going on, Signal forms. That's right. I know, very exciting. I'm super excited because we know that developers, you all, the community, have been asking for a better solution. We've tried a couple of times. I don't know if you noticed this. We've tried a couple of times. We had template-driven forms. And then we gave you we gave you another form, reactive forms. Then we said, okay, we'll make those strictly typed. Would that make you happy? And you're like, yeah, close, but not what we want. And we think we could do better. So we're introducing Signal forms in the next release. Now, this is declarative and reactive, 2 things that you've wanted, declarative and reactive. And the model is driven by signals. How incredible is that? Let's look at a quick example. First, when you're starting, you can bring your own signal as your model, your own signal. You get to decide this. Whatever shape you want it to be, you get to decide it. Now, when you're ready, you just use our form function, pass in your data model, and guess what you have? Somebody just yell it out to me. What do you think you get out of that? Oh, it's a form. You get a form, yeah. You get a form right out of there. And then when you're binding it to the template, you just use our little nicely named field property there. Now, let me be super clear about this. I know that you are excited for this one. We are excited. It is not production ready. Do not put this in production and then get angry with us if something goes wrong. Let me tell you a very true story. I was talking about this only a few weeks ago. I was telling another group of amazing community members about this work. And I had this demo that I had written, and it was working beautifully leading up to my talk. And then the night before, I said, let me double check just to make sure, because I write all my own code. So let me just double check. And it didn't work. You know why? Because we changed it. We changed it from what? Control to field, because it's experimental. So that means for us on the Angular team, when something is experimental, that doesn't mean that we have on lab coats and we're just having fun. That means that things may still change. But if you want a deeper dive into how this works, one of my good friends and colleagues is going to be here talking about a deep dive into Signal forms right after this, actually. So if you're really excited about that, you want to learn more, come hang out with us. Here's another thing. Angular Aria. How many friends here have heard of Angular Aria? Okay, some of you are like, okay, what are you talking about, Mark? What is this? Again, we've been trying to solve the problems that the community has brought forward to us. Let me tell you what you said. We want accessible components that are easier to style. And guess who said this? We can't stop hearing this feedback. It just keeps flooding in. You all really want this, and we understand. So here's what we decided to create for Angular developers everywhere. A library of headless components that have accessibility features built in. Headless components that have accessibility features built in. And I do mean it, no styles. You bring your own styles. This is where you get really excited. Yeah. Oh, what an unexpected round of applause. Wow. Our friends at home, did you see what happened? I never told them to do that at all. That was totally voluntary. Let's have a look at what a template with Angular ARIA included looks like. So first, you may notice I have this ng list box directive here. And I have my ARIA labels set up. Somebody already yelled at me on the internet about not having my ARIA labels. I put it there. I know a div is not the most semantic. I know, because somebody's like, that's a div though. Can you be more specific, Mark? Okay, not the most semantic, but we do have our ARIA label. So you add the ng list box directive, and then when you're listing your items, because this is a combo box example, when you're listing your items, you put your ng option, and you still have your binding to the field. Now, this does not come with styles. I really do mean this. We really mean it's headless. So you get to bring your design systems, your styles, all that you want to decorate and design these things, and the accessibility comes for free with the functionality. Now, this is the group that we have at launch: Accordion, Combo Box, and a few others, and there are more on the way. So if you want to check this out, another new feature is coming in Angular v21 that we can't wait for you to try. We think you're really going to love it. All right, let's talk about, oh wait, sorry. We know the story here. We spent a long time internally. Someone's just like, please, finally. We spent a long time internally working hard to come up with what was going to be our future test solution. And there were lots of considerations. We weren't going just based on popularity, for example. We were thinking about how can you make sure you can run your tests locally and in the browser, so you need a good, stable browser mode. There are lots of considerations because there are millions of you out there who rely on tests. So we want to make the right choice for the community, and we are happy to announce that in v21, we're introducing stable, this is production ready, stable support for v-test. Well, you already clapped at it, that's fine. We'll keep going. But friends, this isn't even the whole story. This is not the whole story. I just told you three or four of the things that we're working on right now. There's even more coming down the pipeline for Angular v21. So, here's what we would love for you to do. Head over to angular.dev/events/v21 and definitely check out our upcoming developer event. Now, this one is very special, mind you. Very, very special. We're doing something unlike we've ever done before with our developer videos. Now, a few of you, I introduced myself. We're like, yeah, I already know you, Mark. I've seen you in videos. Well, you've never seen me in a video like this one. So definitely you want to check it out. So we talked about what's next in Angular, what's coming up. Now let's talk about, well, what's happening now? Because we hear a lot of feedback. And one of the pieces of feedback that we hear is, I cannot keep up with everything you all release. Stop releasing. No. No, we can't. We have to continue to release things because we're building the best framework in the world to build scalable applications for your users. So that comes at a cost. We have to keep pushing the framework forward. But in case you may have missed a few things that we released this year, let's talk about some of the really cool ones. So let's talk about some stable APIs that are now stable and ready for the community. You got zoneless in Angular. Now, this is fantastic. We have been working toward this for a while, and there are a lot of benefits besides just the change detection story. Because when people think about zones, this is the first thing that comes to mind is change detection, which makes sense. Because of our integration with zones early on, it meant that developers had to know a lot about the internals of the framework when you were debugging for performance or for unexpected errors. I understand how that can be a little bit frustrating. So we're making this incredible change. See, here's what else you're going to get out of the fact that we're going zoneless now in applications. You get improved performance. Big win. This is a very big one for developers. Your change detection cycles will just run less frequently and more predictably. Improves core web vitals. This one is huge. People really care about these metrics, especially in your companies and organizations. They care about this metric. So there's going to be a reduced overhead, and you're going to have a smaller bundle size. Really big improvement. An improved debugging experience. How many people, you don't have to raise your hand, because if I say raise your hand, every hand will go up. We don't need that. How many people have spent time looking at a stack trace that had nothing to do with their code? Yeah, exactly. All the nods. So if I raise your hand, then we'll get a big gust of wind, because everybody will just go so fast. That's right. So better debugging experience. And then here's one thing that is a subtle but important change. We have better ecosystem compatibility with things, especially with JavaScript APIs. Because right now, before zoneless, every time a new feature was introduced into the JavaScript API surface, we had to monkey patch it, right? We had to write some code to handle it. Then things like async await, for example, we had to do some compiler magic to down level it for promises. Lots of little things that increase the overhead, increase the complexity unnecessarily. But now those things are going away with zoneless. Now, let me tell you how to get to the zoneless story. If you have a pen and paper or your keyboard's out, there's a lot to listen to right here. So if you want to take notes, here's how you can do it. So first and foremost, in your components, you got your change detection strategy. Now, zoneless works without on-push. Contrary to popular belief, it works without on-push, but it's better if your components are compatible with it, you should use on-push. That's the first step, okay? So that's step one of like maybe 15, but we're gonna go through them fast. Step two, you gotta provide zoneless change detection. Okay, so that's two. Remove the dependency, and that's it. Yeah. Oh, wow! Oh, that's so kind. How kind is that? But before we go on, I know that we complain about zoneless a lot because, there is some troubles that we had with zoneless, right? But think about what zoneless gave us. What Zone.js gave us in the beginning. Think about your initial impression of Angular when you first started with Angular. You could update your data in your component and then the screen would just update. You could click on a button and then your state, if it changed, your template would be in sync. It was magical. Zones gave us something really special as a developer experience. What happened was we just outgrew it. You started to build these incredible, sophisticated applications, and we found out that zones just weren't the solution anymore. But it doesn't mean that this technology wasn't incredible. So I just want to say thank you to the entire Zone.js team for all of their hard work, all the years helping us to build great applications in Angular. Right, something else to consider is that signals keep getting better. This is one of the best things that we've introduced to Angular was our signals API. Developers have been enjoying it. You have been enjoying this. And we're making it better. Effect and linked signal are now stable, so you can use those in production. I won't say carefree because some of y'all have been using effect the wrong way and we see it. But we were able to fix some of the things that were going on with effect because it was one of our last signal primitives to actually make it to production. It had been in developer preview for a long time because we wanted to make sure that it was right. Incremental hydration. Think about this magical technology. At one point, people weren't even sure if we could do hydration in Angular. So not only we do hydration, we decided to introduce something incredible where you can have a part of your page. You can render the DOM and get the JavaScript payload later, only on a single part. That is literally, I call it future technology because where else can you do that? Where else can you do something that cool? Look at this example. Example run. Don't embarrass me, example. Okay, there we go. All right. So you can render a part like this without fetching the JavaScript. That's incredible for your users. Think about the performance implications that you get to take advantage of. And this doesn't require any external libraries. This is just built into Angular. How fun is that? If you want to use something like this, it's built on top of the also very excellent defer syntax. And with defer, you can define when your lazy loaded parts of your template come into play. And so we just extended that same thing using the same triggers, but now with an additional keyword to just say hydrate on this trigger. And from there, everything's going to work for you. Hybrid rendering is getting better and better because now what you can do with your rendering story, because your server-side story is really important. So I've been working for a long time. I've been working for 20 years. When I first started building web apps, everything was rendered on the server side. Who remembers that story? Everything was rendered on the server side. You didn't have client-side rendering. Then we swung the pendulum all the way to client-side rendered only, and now we're back in this place where we're making the best decision for this situation. And Angular is right there with you because look at what you can do. Just look at what you can do now. You can render on the client. You can pre-render, so that's like static site generation. Or you can have your SSR story. All of this is at the route level now. So you can configure this per route. Now, this is a change that I feel like went slightly under the radar because we keep releasing so much stuff. We get it, I know. And this went slightly under the radar. But this is another very powerful way for you to build applications that your users will love. But let's talk about the quality of life that we've improved for you. Create component. Now you can bind to your dynamically generated components. I thought this was cool, but I wasn't the only person. Literally, one of our fantastic community members, Thomas, he even tweeted about, look at the 3 mind-blown emojis. That's how exciting this was. 3. He could have just thought that 1. It went to 3. Because the dynamic UIs and the possibilities are really amazing. Now, event.target type narrowing, another really nice quality of life. Don't have to put any annies there. Like, I've been guilty of this, using any just to be convenient. Okay, so now you don't have to, in your code reviews, you don't have to put the any there and say, no, this is, saving time. Okay, so now it's gonna be nice. So you're gonna get some type narrowing. Things are gonna be better. How about host binding type checking? People have been asking for this for a long time, and now it was built into your application. So for example, in your decorator, if you have something like style.color that's bound to a property, let's say that property doesn't exist, you'll get some type checking there and some errors there. Very nice. You don't have to wait until you run the application for that now. Very exciting stuff. Now, this is one that I didn't know that people wanted a lot. And when it happened, and I saw the reception, well, pleasantly surprised here. I was pleasantly surprised. Having as an alias and else if. Let me explain. You see, this is what everybody wanted because you already had it in if. You could already do the as alias. Okay, so now in else if, now you can do it. And now you can use it. So that's going to be really exciting. Hopefully this really improves the ergonomics around writing code in your Angular templates. How about ARIA bindings without the ATTR prefix? So now you'll get to do something like this. Okay, so this is very exciting. Top level form array. We know that we're all excited about signal forms coming, but what about the other forms, like reactive forms? Well, okay, top level form array. So you've been waiting for that. Now you got it. Oh, go ahead and clap. Thank you. It was a little too quiet in here. Okay. No, I love it. I love it. And what about the tooling story? Let's talk about the tooling story. Hot module replacement by default. Now you see hot module replacement throughout more parts of your application. We started off with forms, and went to style, then went to template. So we are expanding this the best that we can, and we're hoping that you really enjoy this. Okay. It's okay to clap. Yeah. I love it. No. Let me explain something to you. When I'm up here, you can clap as much as you want. You do not even have to feel like, oh, should I clap? If you even think that, just go ahead and start clapping. I will see, exactly. That's right. If you feel it, do it. Dev tools have made a major leap And I think this is something that I think developers will really love. Let me tell you why. First, signal visualization. So you can see your signal graph in Angular Dev Tools. You can see properties. You can see where these things are. Very, very exciting. Oh, so amazing. So amazing. Somebody told me that, like here in Berlin, this was like the best audience in the world. And you all are only confirming that for me. So amazing. You all are amazing. Router visualization. You are, again, creating really sophisticated routing patterns. Now you can visualize it to know what's happening where. Very exciting update. Defer visualization. This is one of the things that as you use more and more defer blocks, you may wonder what's happening in your application. Now you will have even better of a visualization for that. For example, here's how it works. In this example, we have a placeholder. And then once the defer trigger is triggered, or if the condition is met, let's say it that way, once the condition is met, then that part is replaced. But so you can see how this is in DevTools that you get to see where everything happens. So this is a big win for just having more insight. Now, the performance panel, this is a chef's kiss moment. And the reason I say that is because as we have been talking about the way your debugging experience will improve with zoneless, this also will help improve your debugging experience, because when you look at your flame charts in Chrome, you'll be able to see your components and you'll see what parts of the application are taking render cycles, which parts are not, what's taking a long time to load, and it'll be in language that you understand because we customized it for Angular developers. Very, very exciting. Definitely check out the new performance panel. Animations are better. We built the animations module because at the time, we were trying to do things that the web didn't have good APIs for. So we thought we'd build in some infrastructure to help you build more complex, more dynamic animations. Well, the web has gotten really incredible since then, since those days. CSS is absolutely incredible. So now we've decided to move away from the animations module and introduce 2 new APIs for you to try out. At this level, you use the enter, and you can define a class to run every time this DOM element enters. Or maybe you have a programmatic animation. Maybe you're using something like GSOC or Anime.js or some other thing that you want to program. So then you can also do that. Same thing with exit. You can define your class, or you can define a function that you can then call when it exits. So these are 2 very nice APIs that you can use in your templates for animations. Oh, thank you. Y'all, listen, your hands are going to be tired, and I love it. Don't worry, I love it. Your hands are going to get so tired, like, man, what happened? Why are my hands so red? All the clapping, that's going to be so great. We introduced angular.dev/AI at Google I/O. This is the project that I spearheaded, and I am so proud of this work because we knew that the development world was going to change, and it wasn't going to change slowly. It's going to change quite quickly. Think about the fact that this conference itself has an entire track dedicated to AI and building with AI. Let's talk about how Angular is ready for this challenge. If you go to angular.dev/AI, you will get prompts and context. That way, in your chosen editor, you can have best practices, fine-tuned prompts to generate good Angular code in your applications, no matter what LLM you're using. So we have that available for you. But wait, there's more. We actually defined the rules files for some of the popular IDEs out there. And guess what? If you have a rules file that you think is beneficial, submit a PR. We'd love to see it. Submit a PR. But what about code generation? Because that is literally the latest thing right now. Everyone cares a lot about code generation. Well, let's talk about some key integrations. One, in the Gemini Canvas app. In the Gemini app in the Canvas feature, guess what you can do? You can specify, that is really small, I'm very sorry, but you can specify which framework, specifically Angular, in your prompt to generate an application now. So that way, whatever's generated from Gemini Canvas is an Angular app. And you can edit that right in your browser. Very exciting. But we didn't stop there. We also worked with the Gemini Sorry, not Gemini, sorry. Google AI Studio. Get those brand names right. I'm not going to get yelled at when I get home. Forget that. We worked with the AI Studio team. And we also worked on getting Angular integration with AI Studio. And now, when you go to AI Studio, you can select Angular TypeScript from the generation options and then also generate Angular applications. That's a big deal. That's a big deal. 100%. And here's also something that's really fantastic. How many friends have heard of our Web Code Gen Scorer project? All right, let's talk about this one. Now this is magic. This is magic. We wanted to prove that code generation in Angular was not only possible, but very good. So we built a tool that is open source, configurable for whatever model or framework, because we want it for everybody. We started with Angular and we just expanded it to everybody to help you fine-tune your prompts in your application. Guess what? You can fork this tool and then you can adapt it and use it and what you get is a report for fine-tuning your prompts. Let me explain to you what I mean by that. So it's open source, I told you already. We run hundreds of examples given the prompt. Generate hundreds of examples, and then we score those examples. And like I said, this is configurable. So let's say you don't want to use Gemini. I don't know, why not? But let's say you don't. You want to use something else, you can. You can. So for example, if you want to create something like this, the ASCII art generator. Well, here's what you can see is in a report that gives you all of the details around what it did. So did it build successfully? Were there any runtime exceptions? All right. Was the code size sufficient? All of this, again, is available to you to use for your projects if you're trying to develop fine-tuned prompts for a framework and LLM. And here, look at this score. Now, what this top line shows is how we generated this report back in September. But guess what? Look at the outcomes. This rating shows that only 3 of the applications were less than 70% on our grading scale. Only 3. That's pretty exciting because that's a pretty high effectiveness score for generating code with an LLM, especially when we're doing Angular or other framework code. See, we found this to be true. The LLM models are great for Angular developers. And we've given you a fine-tuned prompt to also help. So that's how, when I say we had our fine-tuned prompt on the angular.dev/AI, this is how we generated it. We used our code gen score to validate it. So that's just not our feelings that prompt is good. This is the evidence that it's good. So good that we talked to the Solid.js team and said, hey, try this out. Even Solid.js tried it out. And they're having a good time with it, measuring and monitoring the effectiveness of their code generation prompts. Very cool stuff. We got an MCP server that you can use that's getting more and more features. In Angular v21, we're announcing even more things for Angular MCP server. So that's really exciting. Model context protocol. So much is happening in AI. So if I just said some letters, you're like, I don't even know what you're talking about. Do not feel bad. Nobody is behind. Nobody is left behind. Things are changing so rapidly. How can you keep up? So MCP is Model Context Protocol, and it is a way for LLMs to work with tools that you provide to it. So when you have an agent, it can call different tools. There's just a standardized protocol for that. Angular has this same support. We have our AI-based tutor that runs in tools like Firebase Studio, and it runs in the MCP server. So if you want to learn about Angular, let's say you want to try something out, you want to just have a rubber duck to bounce ideas off of, you have this now. This is available to you. But this is only the beginning of our AI journey. We have even more coming in this story. So please, please stay tuned with us. Head over to angular.dev/AI. Now, before I go on, I got to say, a huge shout out to one of my colleagues at Google. Anybody heard of a friend called Minko Getchev? Yeah. Let's definitely give him a big thank you and a big round of applause for all the hard work that he's done over the years with the Angular community and his Angular DevRel lead before me. And I just want to say thank you to Minko because he taught me a lot. And he contributed so much to the AIM community. He'll still be around, but just in a different role. But definitely want to say thank you to Mingo. Let's give him a round of applause. And here's what I want to say to you as I'm going to wrap up and close up my time with you. This is the time. This is the time. With AI and then Angular being such amazing tools to your disposal, this is the time to create the applications that you've been dreaming of. This is the time to build the things that you know that you wish existed, and now you have all the tools to do it. This is the time. There's never been a better time to be an Angular developer. The tools are as good as they've ever been. You all are as incredible as you've ever been. And the opportunity is right here for you. You know, my vision for this community, if I have to be honest, is just to see you all thrive. That's what I care about. When I joined the Angular community 5 years ago, that was my whole focus. Learning from you, learning about you, and trying to figure out what can I do? What can I do to help? How can I help you? And that's what's going to happen next. We're going to continue that story because this is the time to build applications that your users will love. And we're so excited to be here with you. If you want to know more about what we're doing next, definitely check out our developer event that's coming up in just a few weeks. And special shout out to my other colleague who was here, Jens, who's going to be giving a keynote tomorrow. He's going to be explaining, well, how do we decide what do we do next? How do we know? He's going to help debunk that story and help get some clarity. So definitely tune in for that. You definitely want to be in the room. It's going to be really, really special. Can I say one last thing to you? Can I say thank you? You all are so amazing. Thank you for having me. Enjoy the conference.